Hello and welcome to the Cinema Gold Show. I'm your host, Larry Leese. And on today's episode of Flashback Friday, we give our review of Mission Impossible. But before we do that, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram by searching Cinema Gold Show. As always, if you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/cinemagold. Your support helps the channel grow, upgrade our equipment, bring in new hosts, be able to pay them, and one day take this show on the road. So without further ado, let's dive right into 1996's Mission Impossible, directed by Brian De Palma. There's a formula at the time of this episode. I've watched 5 of the 6 currently released Mission Impossible films, and there is most definitely a list of things that have become expected for nearly every installment. That said, each film up to Rogue Nation has its own director and a distinct style, which sets it apart from much of the copy and paste nature of its contemporaries, like Marvel movies where the directors are made to suppress their style to be, well, bland, I suppose. I don't think that MI films are a boon to cinema, but they do feel like something completely different from what we are served today. In the 90s, turning boomer television shows into movies to satiate nostalgia was the standard. What made Mission Impossible different was that Brian De Palma was brought in as director. He was a well-established director responsible for films like Carrie, Blowout, Scarface, The Untouchables, and more. He brought some gravitas to the picture while still being a director who wasn't considered an art house filmmaker. That was a smart move because he exercises restraint throughout Mission Impossible. This is a sharp, tightly written and directed spy thriller that stands up to today because of how much they held back. The IMF, or Impossible Mission Force, is a secretive branch of America's intelligence organizations. One of their teams, led by Jim Phelps, played by John Voight, has been sent to Prague to stop a rogue agent from stealing a list of the CIA's undercover agents. The mission goes south and only Ethan Hunt remains alive. IMF knows someone on the inside is working to sell them out, and because Hunt survives, all fingers point at him. As with almost all of these movies, Hunt has to go out on his own, be disavowed by the agency, and assemble a team of people to help him reveal the truth. In this film, Hunt slowly peels back the layers of an onion until uncovering who betrayed his team and stopping the sale of the undercover agents list. Things you almost always see in a Mission Impossible movie: someone or multiple people would dramatically pull off an insanely realistic mask. Ethan Hunt will hang on a cable or wire as part of a break-in the team must do. Tom Cruise will be shot from the side running down a street. The enemy will always be disassociated from any specific nation. Hunt's team will have to steal the thing the bad guys want as part of their ruse in gaining the bad guys' trust. The IMF will have a different secretary in every film: Anthony Hopkins, Lawrence Fishburne, Tom Wilkinson, and more. There's always an Inspector Javert figure who is intent on chasing down Ethan Hunt. There's always a mole or traitor that must be uncovered. Hunt will also be hanging precariously off of something, and a mission will be delivered on a device that self-destructs. I'm sure I've missed more, but this is generally the list of ingredients you will find in a Mission Impossible picture. Some do them better than others, but these were never things that I disliked about the movies. I was really young when Mission Impossible first came out, and right away I really enjoyed the vibes of the movie. This was my 3rd or 4th viewing, and everything De Palma brings to the table still holds up. The film has a potent atmosphere from the start, and the director is skilled at playing in a mystery. No secret that De Palma is a massive fan of Hitchcock to the point he's been accused of blatantly ripping off the late filmmaker. While Mission Impossible never reaches the height of Hitchcock espionage films, it is still entertaining from start to finish. It clocks in at just under 2 hours, yet still delivers exciting tension, built set pieces, and a complete arc for Ethan Hunt and the villains. With the recent box office returns of summer 2023 proving less than stellar, this might be a lesson that we don't need a grotesquely long explosion of spectacle. You can tell a solid story in 90 minutes, or maybe a little more. Your set pieces don't have to span half the length of a movie from the 1990s. Take the famous CIA infiltration scene. This is a complex scene, but not an overly long one. De Palma ensures we see and understand each team member's role in the heist, then he lets it play out with escalating tension. The biggest threat is that of bespectacled CIA agent will notice something off in the highly secured room and lock Langley down. The stakes are evident and not complicated to understand. The complications come in the form of little mistakes or unexpected happenings. Will the man enter the room before Ethan is done copying the files? Will the head of sweat touch the securely armed floor sensors? Will Krieger accidentally lose hold of Ethan and they get caught? Nothing here is bombastic, yet it still had me on the edge of my seat. Now, I've seen this scene many times and I was still invested. When we get to Ghost Protocol, we'll talk about how a similar scene falls flat for me because it goes too large and overcomplicates things. The acting here is quite good, and it is solid throughout the series. Tom Cruise feels very comfortable in the role of Ethan Hunt, who eventually becomes a Mary Sue. At this point, do we expect Cruise will ever play a character with actual flaws ever again? I like what he did in Magnolia, but he likely won't return to that well again. He was genuinely funny in Tropic Thunder. Maybe he would do something like that down the road. I even think his turn in the criminally underrated Oblivion was decent acting. But now, like most Hollywood stars, he seems to be running on a treadmill doing the same thing repeatedly. Young Tommy here in the first Mission film is good. Cruise never phones in his performances. He acts in these movies with the most authentic earnestness, so you can't help but root for him. Tom Cruise's performance has no ironic detachment that would be the most bizarre thing to ever see. The performances by everyone are solid. I think Vanessa Redgrave does a lot with the minor supporting role she's given. I understand that there were far more to this character than we saw on screen. The villains of the picture are great because they directly affect Ethan, not just as an IMF agent, but as a person. Their motivations are not ridiculous, but perfectly in keeping with the malaise of the post-Cold War era. As people who had devoted their lives to engage in this conflict were now unmoored, I can see the influence of something like The Spy Who Came in from the Cold. However, I think the film, because I haven't read the book, is a far more weighty story than Mission Impossible. As far as summer blockbusters go, Mission Impossible is far and away one of the best. Our journey has just started. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, will be to join me next time as we watch and review the next film in the Mission Impossible franchise and see how each director puts their spin on this collection of tropes and set pieces. If this message self-destructs in the next few seconds, that wasn't me. I think your computer had some issues. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you think about the original Mission Impossible franchise? Should they have just stuck with just the first one, or do you approve of the whole, whatever they at now, 8 or 9 or 7? Let us know in the comment section below. As always, give us a thumbs up if you like our videos, and support the channel by buying us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/cinemagold. As always, we want to thank you for watching and listening. And don't forget, you can find us on Good Pods, Spotify, and of course, Facebook and Twitter. As always, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time.